Would you like to say something to your constituents? Marvelous. Welcome on back, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning on in. As always, for today's episode, we are catching up. I know, we're a little behind, but we are catching on up. Once this comes out, the newest episode should be up as long as everything's running smoothly. And it will be The Last Supper. I'm so excited we're getting a Last Supper this season. However, I must say, Dahlia will be there, so hey. But Jade and Zava won't be, and that bums me out. But I understand why, but it bums me out. But we are diving back into Dragula Titans Season 2, and we're going to start off with Episode 7, which is the Boulet Brothers Horror Picture Show. I really enjoyed this episode. I know, the musical episodes always get so much shit. While I can understand the perception of like, oh, it's copying Drag Race, I understand why a newer audience believes that. However, drag is literally within the foundation of theater arts. So, like, before a time when women were even allowed to perform in the theater, men had to perform the role of women, and they did it in drag. Granted, it doesn't have necessarily the queer history that this type of drag does, but like even, pantomime, that even, lends itself to queer culture. So theatrically, drag has always been a part of all that. So it made sense for me, but I can understand, people being like, wait, it's a little too drag racy now. I don't think that, but I can understand. And starting off with the Boulets little recap, they really love torturing the fans. Apparently, the musical challenge was really hated on, season 6, I believe. I liked it. I know it was bad, but like, isn't that what Dragula is supposed to be, like, so bad that it's good? I think it's very camp. But did it really make the Boulets millions? I think they were just joking that, like, it made them that much. But, like, and this is a heavy Rocky Horror episode, which y'all know I love. I have Frankenfurter tattooed on me. And Janet, so it makes sense. But I love that musical, and there's going to be a lot of references to it this episode, so just be warned. I recommend go watch it. If you haven't, go watch it. So the queens entered the laboratory, and it's getting so empty so fast. I mean, 4 people did go home one episode, so there's that. But like, so fast. We started off with so many people, and in a pretty short amount of time, only 8 episodes, we already are down to our final 3, 4. We're getting there, which I have some opinions about the last Hellbound showdown, but we'll get there. The queens are discussing who they think possibly went home. Jaharia thinks Cynthia went home. It just makes sense for her, she says. And Sigourney points out that Cynthia being bottom twice, but Blackberry's looks falling apart twice. Like, she isn't too sure how one matches up against the other. And even JK thinks that Blackberry will be back because she deserves to be. I wonder what Cynthia will think about that, because those two are besties this season. And Cynthia comes busting in, and the ghouls are really gagged by it. I mean, Jahari is just like, no fucking way. Cynthia says Blackberry was sent home because she was showing regression, and she has been showing progression. You know what? Big word, Cynthia. Love you for that. And pretty much kind of confirms track record doesn't mean a thing. Cynthia tells us about being tied up, covered with snakes, and was like, are they about to put Dahlia in this casket with me? Shady. I'm excited for Dahlia to come back for The Last Supper. Also, like, I don't know if we talked about this before. Did y'all know she got, in the very first episode, Dahlia got into an argument with Victoria, and that's why there's no critiques for Dahlia in that episode? Release the tapes! Release the tapes, boys! Oh my god. Oh, I bet that shit was good. Maybe not. Maybe not. Because if they cut everything out like that... Oof. JK says that she's happy Cynthia is back, but still hurts to lose a season 5 sister. And Sigourney jumps in saying, well, get used to it. Shady. I don't think that was necessarily the right moment to just throw, like, whatever shade. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I love Sigourney, okay? But I think over these next couple episodes, just specifically this one, I think we really saw a different side of Sigourney. And I'm not saying that, like, that's who Sigourney really is. No. We saw a different side of her in this competition. It's a very big difference than, you know, who she is outside. So, I don't even want to get into the conversation of, like, I don't like Sigourney anymore. No. No. Still love her down. But I do think that there was a little bit of, this episode. And even the next. But that one wasn't her fault. I'll give her that. I have issues with the Boulets on their choice. Jaharia loves that Sigourney and JK are at odds. She thinks she has prolonged them not making up just because she's stirring the pot behind the scenes. One of the producers had asked her. She's like, I don't think, like, I've kept them from it, but they definitely would have. JK hits Sigourney with a beautiful gowns reference. Oh my god. Which, if y'all don't know, beautiful gowns became a shade, like, insult, because there's a interview of, I believe it's Aretha Franklin, and she's going through and giving all these accolades to her fellow musicians. And I mean, just beautiful, beautiful comments about their voice, their performance style, everything. And then the interviewer says Taylor Swift, and she just goes, beautiful gowns. And JK thinks that Sigourney is next because she isn't showing high concept. Sigourney says there's no way she's next to go home, and then a shady sound effect. And I felt my stomach drop. Also, just gonna, like, point out that it's noticeable. It's noticeable. So, like, I don't like it being spoiled. And this is, like, the second time in a row now where shady rattlesnake noise or whatever happens, and then that person goes home that episode. So I'm like, Sigourney reminds everyone that she's been given every single curse and she's still there. Jaharia jumps in and clocks that only she cursed her with the rain on your wedding day. It was that one. And Sigourney considers Eva's vote in episode 1 to be a curse, even though she was saved in the end by the Boulets. Jaharia says she thinks Sigourney has been playing the victim the entire season. Interesting. And even Abora jumps in saying you can't say you're going home next when none of them know how this will go. And I think that's a very fair thing. I do feel maybe a little bit like Sigourney was getting kind of, not dogpiled, but there were a lot of voices jumping in at that point. And we're going to see that a lot this episode. I'm not saying that it isn't unwarranted, though. It was like, girl, kind of put your foot in your mouth a little bit. And there seems to be a lot of animosity with the cast right now. But the sirens go off and the Boulets introduce the challenge for this week. It is the fan-hated musical. I kind of love that. And Abora's just in the back looking absolutely terrified. But once they, just give us the quick rundown, essentially, it's inspired by Rocky Horror Picture Show, duh. And, they have to have a runway look and their look for the performance, So the queens are going over their gowns, beautiful gowns. And we hear about Eva's past with theater and how that evolved into her drag and how it really helped her through like rough periods. We know that from her original season, Eva had a rough childhood, so theater was a safe space for them and a place where they could grow that confidence as a performer. Sigourney describes her look as a safe concept that can be executed well. And while I understand, girl, that can't be for every challenge. This is now like the second time I believe she's referred to one of her looks in that way, and to be honest, if you're going to do simple, do it well. And she has done that in this season. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this look was not that. She didn't even get the character correct. She said it was a la Frankenfurter, yet she was dressed up as Columbia. I believe, or was it? I don't think it's magenta. The specific color of the corsets, I don't know. Which, like, Sigourney, did you watch Rocky Horror Picture Show before coming? Be honest. Be honest, because I'm a little speculative that maybe not everyone saw the source material. I will say she did very well in the performance. Everyone did incredible. And Cynthia's is just crazy. She wants to go over the top since she's unsure of her standing in the competition. And I guess it makes sense. I think it works for her a little bit. We get to see some rehearsal too this time. Everyone seems to be working really well and doing the damn thing. Vampires need a little bit more work. Swanthula also assigned the roles and they all seem to perfectly fit. So I like that, we're really trying to make something great, not just be shady and, I like that. I do like it when it is like that. But I also like, when they come together and they do a good job. Eva brings up how she's heard plotting behind the scenes, hinting at, like, JK, Jaharia. JK says yes, because it's musical theater, but hopes that Eva can get through it without fumbling, and mentions, this is JK's quote, the mid-season dip that usually takes Eva out. I was gagged. that got mentioned on air to Eva. I was like, oh shit. Whoa. Eva and Sigourney just talking over each other. Oh my god. Eva says she's been doing musical theater for 10 years. Jaharia jumps in, clocks that she's just made herself an even bigger target. I mean, let's be so for real. Eva, the theater kid, yeah, this is her challenge. Already a huge target. Then says, don't count me out because I've been doing it my whole life too. And that's when Jaharia does admit that she's trying to get into Eva's head. Like, yeah, you might be great, but don't count me out either. And Cynthia, to everyone, alludes to Jaharia playing everyone. And it's a little, like, jokey, but you can tell Jaharia's a little bit like, ooh, fuck. And it is the day of the floor show. Everyone is really pumped and excited and confident. Cynthia talks about how she just wants to grow from her mistakes in the past in the competition. JK commends her for never letting her spirit die down throughout the whole process. Jaharia also commends her growth just in the last few episodes when Cynthia wasn't listening to anyone. And Cynthia just says, well, that's because I was mad and did not care. You know what? Fair. It is time for the floor show. Enter in the Boulets. Love their classic, like, very simple looks. You can just tell they are loving this challenge. This is Swanthula's thing. The next episode is more Dracmorda's. So I love that we get a split in both their personalities, And the judges for this week are director and resident Rocky Horror expert Darren Stein. He's been on many times. Writer and director and drag legend Peaches Christ. Now, I thought maybe that, it would be an acting competition because of Peaches. And sure shit, I was right. But the performance was really good. Really, really good. I think everyone was pretty much doing the absolute best. All right, with that, let's go over the looks, and we'll talk about their performances mixed in as well. I got my phone here. So Eva, this is not Rocky Horror Picture Show. I think it fit in with her performance, so I'll let it slide for that. And her performance was just incredible. Like, Broadway professional, incredible. She used every little moment that she was on stage to either draw attention to herself or to just the scene, and she's just chef's kiss. This look, though, is not Rocky Horror. That's my only thing. So, but it's good. It's good. I really love the, like, cloak thing, but it's not Rocky Horror. But I'll still accept it. Up next, we have a Bora. I love this. I love this look. It's sexy. It's skimpy. She looks like that dirty, androgynous, and just very Rocky Horror. It's just very Rocky Horror. Her performance was but she had a lot to do. And a Bora being able to do a 1-2 step and, you know, whatever else was required, shit, incredible. She didn't fall. Up next, we have Cynthia. I loved her boy drag. Loved it. I wish we saw the transformation. That does get mentioned as well. But I loved her fucking boy drag. Oh my god. And this look, like, I get it. It's Frankenfurter. It's a kind of deconstructed and reconstructed Frankenfurter, and I think it's way more high-tech, futuristic, all that, but I saw the vision. I think there was a lot going on, but it works for me, and I love the use of the triangle as well, and the green with the hair. Like, it's just quintessential Frankenfurter. Up next, we have Jaharia. Her voice, the whole performance was so incredible. Her and Eva basically carried vocally. And this look, I really enjoy. Is it simple? Yes, but this is simple done well. And for Jaharia, that's a big thing. I loved the reveal too. Like, it was so smooth and sensual, and just, you could tell she loved showing off. Like, that's Frankenfurter, and I just loved it. I loved it. She was in a very different light tonight. Up next, we have JK. I'm glad that we got to see a Rocky on there. Like, I was worried we were going to have 6 or 7 whatever different Franks up on the stage. So we got a bit of a change up. I enjoy that. I do think the suit's a little chopped, busted, but yeah, I enjoyed the performance, and her heel breaking, like, in the very beginning, really kind of added to it. And then we have Sigourney. It's very clean, I'll say that, but girl, you're in a corset and some fishnets. No. No, not for a Titans. No. And can I be honest? I really don't get overall Frankenfurter vibe. So that's where I question if she's actually seen it. But we head on back for the Boulets judging. They loved it. Overall, just loved the entire thing. They also have a new look, too, for judging. So, like, they're really changing it up for this episode. I love it. They do see a vast improvement from season 6. Bora, they thought she missed a few beats, but didn't know that she could pull it out like this. I don't think anyone did. And she had the most involved choreo out of everyone. JK took every opportunity as the role of the preacher. Oh, that's right. Yeah, JK was the preacher. Great role. She was like the Oprah Winfrey in the Rusical, if that makes sense to anyone. Oh, wait, and Sigourney, too. I loved Sigourney's transformation in the actual musical, and she did a really good job. I thought her voice was really good. She stayed, like, up with all of the choreo. She did a great job. My thing with Cynthia was, like, she didn't change from that boy look into, like, a freakier, kinkier kind of character, so missed opportunity, I think. Eva, they also thought that she didn't show Rocky Horror in her outfit, but destroyed the challenge. absolute perfection. Cynthia, they got the Rocky reference, but it was a little confusing for them, especially with that udder bulb thing. Sigourney and Cynthia, they said, had the smallest roles, but Sigourney brought their eyes back on her a lot. However, Cynthia didn't extend that by not changing looks throughout the transformation. Jaharia was a standout for them. Flawless reveal, soulful singing, and they're really looking forward to getting Darren and Peach's input on this. And Dragula absolutely hates musicals, but says she loves that it tortures us. So, and then the queens all come in for judgment. They thought JK really stepped up to the challenge playing the Reverend. Unexpected to be Rocky. They loved the Pussycat bus driver wig also. And the broken heel worked with her performance. Overall, they were really surprised that she turned it out. And Sigourney kind of shades her a little bit for not actually singing, but I thought it worked. And it really worked well for the character. There needed to be like a balance, you know? Abora, they thought, lost some energy throughout the performance, but she was doing like the most choreo and didn't know that she could sing and dance like that. Great character singing, and the only reason that her mistakes were so visible was because everyone else was just so incredible. Jaharia, they thought she had great physicality, maybe upstaged a little bit by Eva, but impeccable glam and helpful to the other cast members as well, having a great voice, incredible outfit and reveal. They just had nothing but praise for Jaharia. Sigourney does say, shading Jaharia in a talking head kind of, saying, just stay dressed if you have nothing better on underneath. And I was like, girl, with what you wore? Eva, they thought, had full star quality, drew everyone's attention to her. Dragula likes the second version of her look that she wore more than the first. Just wasn't very Rocky Horror, but she really amplified her character. JK is just getting frustrated, like, what the fuck can I do to get just a little further ahead than this person? Like, I'm just going to trip her at this point. Sigourney, they thought, had one of the harder roles, but really played it well, stayed in character. But they weren't surprised by the first look. It's something that they saw before. She took off a coat that she wore before in a different color, and underneath was that corset. So it really didn't go well. But they thought she had really great singing, which she did. Cynthia, thought, had a great character voice. The Brad wig was just high drag. They thought it was a really interesting and unexpected look with the udder situation. And they thought that she had a quieter role and faded in the back a little. Not sure, again, what's happening with her pouch area. The winner this week, who do you think? Eva, duh. She won the power of the sonic transducer. Oh. She can vaporize a competitor on the spot. And we see, again, Sigourney jumping in, making sure to mention how supportive she was of Eva winning when she doubted her performance originally. When Eva doubted how she did. That's what I mean. Not Sigourney jumping around. Absolutely no one knows who it could be. Cynthia says, with how much Eva gets in her head, it could be herself. Honestly, the thought ran through my head. I was like, she's going to bend to la creme herself. I swear she's going to be like, I don't want to upset anyone, so. Back in the cauldron, all of the queens plead their case to Eva. JK spills her shoe drink, setting the mood. JK acknowledges that she's fighting to the finale and assures Eva that she's going to give her one hell of a run for her money. But this means the world to her to show everyone how far she's come. And Abora is just over the crying. She's like, what's with the waterworks? Jaharia says she believes she's earned her spot in the finale and has stayed loyal to Eva. Abora says she's modeled her entire life after Dragula and can't let it slip through her fingers again. And she says, do I have to do an 8 count to be in the finale? It seems. Cynthia says Eva has seen how hard she works and her growth and just wants that to be taken into consideration. She mentions snakes in the garden that should go first, I think hinting at Jaharia. And says, why would you eliminate someone who doesn't have a win, Eva? Am I that much of a threat? Using the reverse psychology on her. I love Cynthia. And then this is where it gets messy. And I just want to give the disclaimer of when you're in a room of such fierce competition and competition that has to face many different obstacles as well. I don't think that we should be comparing struggles, but other people in that room struggle as well. So I don't necessarily think your struggle is a valid reason for why you should remain in a competition. I mean, shit, if that were the case, Priscilla should still be here. Because the Boulets did clarify that Priscilla's performance made no sense. It was in different sections all over the place. So it was in editing that it all came together and looked so pristine and perfect. Noted. But with that, let's get into how Sigourney basically sealed her fate this episode. Sigourney starts by asking, is this really how you want to send a girl home? Starting off with not a great note. Kind of assuming that Eva's mind has already been made up. And mentions everyone gunning for her. Also mentions her pact with Eva and Abora. However, Eva and Abora don't confirm this. They say that she just kind of walked up to them and said, final three. And then took their silence as a yes. And Sigourney gives another veiled threat, saying, we can be successful together. Do you want me as a friend or as an enemy? And everyone clocks into the conversation at this point. Eva calls out Sigourney, saying that she is emotionally manipulating her and giving veiled threats, which, yeah. Jaharia mentions how Sigourney is only one to make it to a finale before, no one else has. Interesting. And Sigourney brings up her identity as a cisgendered woman in a drag competition. And Jaharia says that isn't really a valid reason because she too has been discriminated against for her body. Sigourney ends it with, she believes she has something with Eva and she isn't trying to manipulate her. She's just telling her how she feels. I think two things can be true at once. I think it could be entirely unintentional and just in the moment with the pressure of everything, that's how it all came out. You know, I don't think Sigourney's a terrible person at all, but I can understand why, Eva was just ow. Eva says that she's very conflicted, but needs to really think about her decision. We also later find out that no, Eva had her mind made up. As they all come back to the stage, tensions are high, and Eva chooses Sigourney. You could tell everyone is gagged. Sigourney too. And they're not allowed to say anything. You can tell she was and without a word, Sigourney is gone, vaporized from the stage. However, we hear backstage through Sigourney's mic, she tells Eva to just wait and says her fans will destroy her, confirming that Sigourney was saying that. And the Boulets also did confirm. They heard many times that Sigourney was saying this kind of stuff behind the scenes. She was just really good at not saying it ever mic'd up. With that, let's head to the Hellbound showdown. This is Blackberry versus Priscilla. Priscilla's was so sexual and over the top, I definitely can't show it. Not too sure if I directly see Rocky Horror. I think it's maybe a little too clean, a little too bright. And the cape, once she removed that, it was just okay, so it's really gender bend, mind fucky, but yeah, I still liked it. Blackberry's was so clean and fun and very energetic. I like that they both made cum jokes. It just worked. They were just spraying it on each other. Blackberry wins and continues on, which means Priscilla is sent back to the realm of death. However, now that episode is out of the way, we can move on to episode 8, Supervillains. This one's so fun. Contestants become supervillain versions of themselves. So we'll dive on in. This is a much shorter one. We're getting down to the wire, you guys. There's only a few contestants left. After this episode, we have our top 3. And like I said, the Last Supper should already be out. I don't think they're doing a week break. I don't think. We'll see. The Boulets also have announced their anthology Christmas short from different directors. They are not in it, but they did direct the story with Abora. So that'll be cool. Check that out. I think it comes out later in the month. But yeah, diving on in. So I love the Boulets look, what they open up with their little intro recap. It's like librarian chic, them outside of the scenes. I also thought, what they're whispering about maybe hints at Eva not winning? I don't know. But they transform into their looks, very camp. And the, alter ego, spinning into their disguise. So it's fitting with the supervillains theme. Entered the laboratory. Everyone is celebrating being in the top 5. And the others seem kind of happy that Sigourney is gone. So I guess there's something off camera that was going down that just was bringing a lot of tension into the group. But also, this is tension that will find its way back. The other queens seem to be split on whether it was or wasn't dirty for Eva to vote out Sigourney the way that she did. She was given the choice, so fuck it. I love Sigourney, but hey. But they are all living for the drama of it. And Eva reveals she made up her mind rather quickly that Sigourney would be going, and says that she does not respond to threats or manipulation. And even Jaharia agrees that Sigourney was being manipulative. JK does, however, give Sigourney credit, doesn't think she means to act or come off this way, it just happened, and I would probably agree. I don't think she has malicious intent behind it, but oof. And Eva says she wants people to be real, says the performance queen. Now by here. And Cynthia says translucent. Now Bora seems to agree based on Sigourney's kind of stagnant ranking throughout the competition, but thinks that Eva chose her due to the cauldron. And also confirms Sigourney's manipulation behind the scenes, says they have private convos to back that up. I have a feeling we'll hear about that in the Last Supper. We learn that everyone here now has never been in a finale. So this is fun. We're getting to see a lot of really new interpretations of this final floor show. And now it's 3 newbies with 2 legends. Jaharia says, so how you'll feel, old bitches. And the whole time during this cauldron, all I could focus on was Eva's... This is gonna sound so weird. Eva's nipple in her fucking overalls, clasp thing. I was like, it lines up too perfectly. And I was also afraid, girl, you're going to get pinched. And Cynthia alludes to a Bora only showing one look. Scared she's going to give the same thing this runway. And says there hasn't been progression from Last Titans to this one. I disagree. I find it interesting how Cynthia has now shifted her laser beams, it seems, at Abora. However, Cynthia does say, does she do glamour? And I will kind of agree there. JK reminds her that even her track record didn't affect her staying, and it's a new week. Cynthia just doesn't see it for Sister Abora. And then the sirens go off, and the queens are just losing it now at this point. We get the challenge introduction for this week from the Boulets, stepping off of the stage and into the page as supervillains. Must have a signature power as well. And we find out that Todd McFarlane is there to judge them. I used to buy like action figures all the time as a kid, and like the creepy monster like scenes that he would create. Loved those. And this week we get a bunch of info on the queen's looks, but don't want to spoil it. Love the concepts. Cynthia's seems a little all over the place though, and watching Abora just be Abora seems she's kind of unraveling a little bit, but in a artistic way, I'd like to think. She's just kind of causing mayhem all over the studio, although her stapling her face was a choice. And everyone just seems to be losing their minds, so it's a good thing that they get to go home after this for a little bit. Sirens blare, and the supervillains suit up. The Boulets look this week is so fun and just campy, but still like signature them. Judges this week are comic book creator and creator of Spawn, Todd McFarlane, and comic book writer Steve Orlando. Now, I don't have photos right now, at least, but Eva's, I enjoyed. I think it was rather simple, but it's still good. The craftsmanship in the upper bodice and in that smoke staff thing. The fabric looks cheap, though. I will say that. It is related to the one that she did before, but I don't know. I like it. It's very clean, but we're so used to Eva essentially bringing like a parade float with her. Next, we have JK. I loved the cockroach of it all. The mouth thing really distorting her face. The braids as antennas I thought was so creative and well done. It's a very clean look. And yeah, there was some malfunction, but honestly, she should have just painted like where it was, right? So it didn't show that stark white. That was really the issue. But like, she meant to take off the side pieces anyways, didn't she? I don't think it worked against her really all that much. Next, Jaharia. Girl, was this like a last minute make or something? No. It's a no. I understand like the color concept in it. I like that. But it's so ill-fitting. It's just no. But I love her energy that she carries, you know? She does sell a look, even if it's something that no one wants to buy. And Cynthia's, I just didn't get. And I don't think I needed to get it, but her taking off the helmet then kind of confused it a bit, and not really sure like what the superpower is, but it's really outside of the box for Cynthia. So I will give her that, but it didn't really make much sense to me. And even like Jaharia's special move, spitting? Yeah. But then comes Abora. I mean, now, like, I understand the critique. It was way too close to a Bizarro. But, oh my god. Just the visual representation, how sinister she was, raising up, and how, like, domineering that feeling was. I think the illusion definitely got ruined the more that the performance went on. But that initial just like wow factor, it really took me back. I mean, yeah, I hear. However, I will argue the Boulets said a recognizable character. I could maybe see where Abora took that and was like, okay, so I should reference it to something or another superhero. Sure. But like, it was just, the visual of it. And the fact that this is like her third time this season giving us the stilts, but it was in such a fresh way. It's like you don't even care. I really enjoyed it. I thought she ate with that one, but With that, let's go over to the Boulets judging. They're praying that Abora didn't fuck it up this week. They don't think she fucked it up, but it's a little iffy. They had issues with the look, however, and questions the originality of it, but they loved the flying gag. They also didn't get Jaharia's look. They thought it fell very flat. Cynthia, they thought did well, but just hasn't measured up this season compared to the others. But they don't care that she doesn't have a win. They were like, let's put her in the final 4 without a win. I mean, shit, why not? Their final 3, whatever they're choosing. They loved JK's imagination within their look, and they thought that throughout this season, they have really changed the narrative of who they are as an artist. Because, on JK's original season, they were dogged on a lot. Their drag wasn't as polished. Really showed everyone up. And they thought Eva delivered the energy and vibe of a true supervillain. And they also clocked that Eva didn't even cry after exterminating Sigourney. So that says something. And this is also where we find out that Swanthula is the old Boulay. You got Big Boulay and Old Boulay. They're gonna hate that. No, it's Big Boulay and Old Boulay now. With that, let's head in for the overall judging. Cynthia, they loved the oddness, thought it had a good reveal, was kind of like cosmic horror. Terrible wig, though. And they confused what is her actual powers. I kind of liked the concept behind it of like beauty standards and whatnot, but it just did not come through. JK, they couldn't tell if the limbs falling off was part of the performance or not, and they could have dirtied up the paint job a bit more. That was a tip from McFarland, which, of course, he does such incredible washes and whatnot, so much depth in his creations. It was great advice. It was well put together, incredible makeup, and she even rhinestoned her roach, so you gotta give props to her. Eva, they thought she had great physical acting, best exit out of everyone, the drama. Eva always brings drama. And they felt the inspiration from her first supervillain's look on season 3. And she says, it's supposed to be her mother. And they loved the corn husk wig. And she had a smoke machine in her staff. Come on. Jaharia, they recognized her classic color palette. They just wanted more from this. Confused on who her character was, showing her seam. You don't want to know how villains get dressed was McFarlane's tip. Because, her cape off to the side showed the seam right down the middle. Abora, they thought it was a great visual trick. Original use for the stilts also, but too close to Bizarro. Delaw book. Delaw. I thought that was a funny reference. And Abora not being able to tear it was very comical and very Abora. Great makeup as well and just great concept. The winner this week, however, I don't know if I agree, I think it should have been Abora, is Eva Destruction. And everyone else will be going to the gallows and only 2 will survive. So this solidifies Eva is in the top 3 for now of the competition. Entering the cauldron. I know, we're kind of going through this one quickly. It was a rather quick feeling episode, even though it was the same length. It felt kind of quick. JK gets very emotional again, and Abora is so over the waterworks at this point. And Eva respects her fellow crybaby and allows JK to be heard. Abora tells us about how dark her life was after Titans won and how far she has come, and she just wants to keep showing that. Jaharia says she's earned her spot in the finale, and it's a clean slate, and she'd give Eva a run for her money. Cynthia says she's very proud of herself, track record aside, and again decides to come for Abora, and Abora just blatantly says to her that this hurts for Cynthia to be doing this to her. Jaharia tells her to just stop talking, which, oof, getting a little spicy. JK clocks how unnecessary it is. And this was such a great sisterly moment. She says to her, "You are an incredible artist, and you don't need to bring someone down to boost yourself up." I'm glad that Cynthia was able to open herself enough to be spoken to by JK. I think the message got through to her. Heading on back in, though, for these exterminations. Oof. First up is JK and Cynthia. You're going to put the besties up against each other again? Again? With this, we have to say goodbye to Cynthia. JK is in the finale. I'm so excited to see what they're going to bring. And they are so overcome with emotion about it. I mean, obviously, like, upset that their sister is gone, but, like, this is what JK has worked for. Up next is Jaharia versus Abora, and Jaharia drops. That's the unfortunate thing. It was like you kind of left with the obvious freaking choice. So the final three is JK, Abora, and Eva. If you had told anyone at the beginning of the season that final three would be Eva, Abora, and JK, they'd be like, "Bitch, you gotta be joking." No. Oh my god. This is going to be incredible. It's going to be incredible. And I'm really feeling that JK is going to give both Eva and Abora a real run for their money. I'm excited. I'm just excited. I love just the idea of this final floor show too, because we're not doing the usual tenets of Dragula. We find out that the final floor show is themed after the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. This is going to be so fun. They must create a look based off of conquest, war, famine, and death. Oh, it's such a good idea. They have 1 month at home to create the looks. And they hint at a 4th contestant joining during the Last Supper. Oh. Listen, I'm going to be a little pissed if it's Sigourney. I'm not going to lie. I love her. But, like, I don't know. I want to see someone else. I want to see someone new that I haven't seen do a final floor show. You know what I mean? So I think it'll be really interesting. But with that, let's head to the Hellbound Showdown. I also don't agree with this one. I loved Blackberry's look. Loved it. And I think, yes, it was inspired by something else, but it was a combination of, like, the girl from Kill Bill and then a Junji Ito comic. Like, I loved it. I thought it was so much more fun. And no shade, Sigourney's was cheap-ass fabric. The clock was clunky as all hell. I don't think it was polished like what Sigourney usually gives us. I don't agree. I just don't agree. I will say, though, her look overall was giving more like Mortal Kombat. So maybe. Sigourney continues on, though. And this is where I'm just looking at the Boulets like, so who knows? I would like to see Jaharia in the finale. I ain't gonna lie. I would. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. I think Cynthia could do really well in a finale with that, like, topic or theme as well. Fuck it. Bring everyone back and just let them all do it. Thank you so much, you guys, for tuning on in. I know it's a long freaking one. When this posts, the new episode, which is The Last Supper, will be out. Can I be honest? I don't like doing The Last Supper recaps just because it's always so all over the place. It's so much. So much to take notes for. I'm down to do it because, mama, I love some drama. And if this one's good, then sure. But I remember, what was it? Was it season 5? The one with, like, JK, Nia Haru, all them. That was so annoying and so boring. So if it's really good, really drama-filled, then we'll do it. If not, then I'll see you at the finale. No, but we'll play that by ear. Thank you so much, you guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, like and subscribe, all that. Hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their week. We are keeping up with Goomis, and And there will be more, like, Christmas time vlogs as the weeks go on. Thank you so much, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.